Listen, there comes a point in life when you've got to draw a line in the sand and say, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and this is where I don't get pushed around anymore. People will test you, they will underestimate you, they will try to make you small because your light threatens the shadows they're hiding in. But you don't live your life to dim down for anyone. You don't step back to make others comfortable. You rise, you expand, you take up space unapologetically. When you send a warning out into the world, it's not about aggression. It's about self-respect. It's saying, I've done the work. I've bled for my growth. I've sacrificed for my vision. And I will not let anyone drag me back into the mud I fought so hard to climb out of. See, people need to understand that when you come from nothing, when you've clawed your way through pain, rejection, betrayal, and still kept standing, you are not to be messed with. Your strength didn't come cheap. It was purchased with nights of doubt, mornings of fear, and countless days where quitting whispered in your ear. But you didn't quit. You kept moving. And that's why now, when someone thinks they can break you, they need to know they're not facing who you were. They're facing everything you've become. So let them whisper, let them warn, let them plot. Because the truth is, the more they try to hold you down, the more unstoppable you become. You are not in this world to be liked, to be approved, or to be controlled. You are here to lead, to create, to inspire, to dominate your own destiny. And if anyone dares to step in the way of that, if anyone dares to underestimate you, they're not just messing with you, they're messing with a force of nature that cannot be tamed. Stand tall, speak firm, move with unshakable certainty. Because when people realize your energy, your fire, your power, they won't just avoid messing with you, they'll respect you, they'll remember you, and they'll know exactly why you were never the one to be played with. There's a moment in every person's life when they finally decide enough is enough. That's the moment you stop letting the world push you around. Stop letting people dictate who you should be, and stop apologizing for your strength. That's the moment you draw a line in the sand. Not a faint line, not a temporary one, a bold, unshakable line that says, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and this is where no one crosses me again. And let me tell you something. When you reach that level of certainty, people feel it. They see it in your eyes, they hear it in your voice, and they know deep down that you're not the one to mess with. Because here's the truth. You don't owe the world your silence. You don't owe anyone your weakness. You don't exist to bend, to shrink, to fit into the small boxes people try to place you in. You exist to stand tall, to be seen, to be heard, to claim your space. And when you decide you're no longer tolerating disrespect, betrayal, or anyone trying to dim your light, that decision radiates power. That's when people start warning others, don't cross that person, don't test them, don't even think about dragging them down because they've drawn their line and they mean it. See, this isn't about anger. This isn't about ego. This is about certainty. Certainty in who you are, in what you've fought for, in the storms you've survived. People forget strength is not born in comfort. It's forged in fire. And if you've walked through fire and still stand tall, you've earned the right to protect your ground. That line you've drawn isn't just a warning to others. It's a declaration to yourself. Never again will I allow myself to be broken the same way twice. Never again will I let fear, doubt, or someone else's opinion control me. Never again will I give away my power. And that's when everything changes. That's when your energy shifts. That's when you stop begging for respect and start commanding it. That's when people sense something unshakable in you, something they can't bully, manipulate, or control, and they start to whisper, they start to warn, don't, and never mess with them. Because the line you drew in the sand wasn't just about boundaries, it was about transformation. You're not just protecting yourself anymore. You're declaring to the world that you've stepped into your power and there is no turning back. Respect is not something you beg for. Respect is not something you chase. Respect is something you decide you deserve, and you back it up with the way you live, the way you speak, and the way you stand. When you walk with self-respect, it's like carrying an invisible shield. It tells the world, I know my worth, I know my boundaries, I know what I will allow and what I will never tolerate. That's the ultimate warning. Not anger, not threats, just the unshakable certainty that you value yourself too much to let anyone play games with your life, your vision, or your heart. People need to understand that your respect for yourself is your strongest weapon. When you respect yourself, you don't get pulled into drama. You don't waste time with people who drain your energy. You don't tolerate half-truths, broken promises, or lies. You don't explain yourself to small-minded people who could never see your vision. Instead, you rise above. You show up for yourself. You guard your energy like it's gold, because it is. And once people see that, once they feel that energy, they start warning others. They say, don't cross that person, don't test them. They don't play with their dignity, and they won't let you walk over them. See, the world treats you the way you train it to treat you. If you allow disrespect, you'll get more of it. If you allow people to take advantage, they'll keep taking. But the moment you stand up and demand respect, not through shouting, not through fighting, but through living at a higher standard, you shift the game, you raise the bar, you let people know that your presence is not to be toyed with. You don't just demand respect, you embody it, and that embodiment is what forces others to take notice. This is what separates leaders from followers. Leaders don't wait for validation. Leaders don't wait for permission. Leaders respect themselves so deeply that others can't help but follow suit. And when people come close to that kind of energy, they recognize quickly, this is not someone to mess with. This is someone who has built themselves from the inside out. This is someone who knows exactly what they bring to the table. So remember, your self-respect is not just about how you see yourself. It's the warning the world can't ignore. And when you live from that place, people don't just respect you. They remember you, they admire you, and they make sure to tell others, don't and never mess with them. Strength is not built in comfort. Strength is not forged in easy days, smooth roads, or effortless victories. Strength comes from the nights you cried when no one was watching, from the mornings you forced yourself to rise when everything inside you screamed to quit, from the battles you fought silently while the world thought you had it all together. Every scar, every sacrifice, every ounce of pain you've endured, it wasn't wasted. It became the bricks that built your resilience, the fire that fueled your determination, the steel that runs through your soul today. And that's why you are not someone to mess with. People look at the success, the power, the confidence, and they think it came easy. They don't see the blood, the sweat, the heartbreak, the sacrifices you made when no one was cheering you on. They don't see the nights you traded comfort for progress, the relationships you lost because you refused to lower your standards, the opportunities you let go because you stayed true to your vision. But you see it, you remember it, and that's why you carry yourself differently. That's why your presence speaks louder than words. That's why people warn others. Don't underestimate that person because their strength was paid for in full. Understand this, your scars are not weaknesses, they are medals. Proof that you've gone through hell and came out stronger, wiser, sharper. Proof that you can take a hit and still rise. And when you walk with that kind of strength, the world notices. People may try to challenge you, but they quickly learn that you are not someone who breaks easily. You are not someone who folds under pressure. You are not someone who runs at the first sign of adversity. You've already faced storms, and instead of being destroyed, you became the storm. So don't hide your scars. Don't downplay your sacrifices. Let the world see them. Let them remind people that every ounce of your strength has a story behind it. Because when others realize what you've endured, when they recognize the weight you've carried and the fire you've survived, they'll know instantly. This is not the person to test. This is not the person to mess with. This is the person who turns pain into power, sacrifice into success, scars into unstoppable strength. Strength is not something you are born with. It's something you build, something you earn, something you bleed for. Real strength doesn't come from the days when everything goes right, when life is easy and smooth. No, strength comes from the pain you've carried, the sacrifices you've made, and the scars you wear as proof that you've been through battles most people couldn't even imagine. Those scars are your story. They're your reminder that you've faced storms that should have broken you, but they didn't. They tried, but here you are, stronger, tougher, more unshakable than ever, and that's why no one should ever mistake your kindness for weakness or dare to mess with you. Every sacrifice you've made has cost you something: time, comfort, relationships, sleep, sometimes even your peace. But those sacrifices weren't in vain. They became the price you paid to step into a higher version of yourself. While others were playing it safe, you were putting it all on the line. While others avoided the hard path, you walked straight into it. That's why today you carry a strength that cannot be faked. It's earned, it's real, and it radiates from you in a way that makes people think twice before crossing you. And pain, let's talk about that. Pain is the greatest teacher life has to offer. It humbles you. It refines you, it sharpens you, it strips away illusions and forces you to dig deep to find power you didn't even know you had. Pain is where you discover what you're really made of. And when you've faced enough of it, when you've learned to transform pain into fuel, you stop fearing it. That's when people start realizing you're not someone they can break because you've already been broken and put yourself back together stronger than before. Your scars, your sacrifices, your pain, they are not weaknesses. They are your armor. They are the reason you walk with a presence that commands respect. They are the silent warnings that say, I've endured too much to let anyone take me back. People who see that energy know instantly, don't and never mess with you, because you're not just standing here by chance. You're standing here as living proof that no amount of pain, sacrifice, or scars could hold you down. You've turned every wound into wisdom, every sacrifice into strength, and every scar into a badge of honor, and that makes you unstoppable. Power is not handed to you. Nobody walks up one day and says, here, take this strength, take this influence, take this unshakable presence. No. Power is earned, and it doesn't come cheap. It costs you sleepless nights, endless effort, brutal sacrifices, and moments where you had to keep moving forward with nothing but faith and grit. People see your confidence now, your resilience, your fire, and they think it was easy, but they don't understand the price you've paid for it. They don't see the silent battles, the lonely roads, the times you questioned yourself and kept going anyway. That's why you carry yourself differently. Because you know the value of the power you hold. Every step you've taken, every failure you've endured, every tear you've shed, it was an investment into becoming the version of you that no one can break. You weren't given shortcuts. You weren't protected from pain. You weren't shielded from rejection. You lived it. You went through it. You fought tooth and nail to be here today. And because of that, you've developed a strength that's unshakable, a focus that can't be distracted, and a power that demands respect. That's not arrogance. That's reality. See, when you've paid the price, when you've earned your place, you don't let anyone belittle you. You don't let anyone drag you back to where you started. You don't tolerate disrespect or manipulation because you know damn well what it costs you to rise. That's why people warn others about you. They say, don't and never mess with that person. They've been through too much. They've worked too hard. They're not someone you can play with, and they're right. Your power is sacred because it was built from struggle. It's not fake, it's not borrowed, it's yours. You've endured what others couldn't. You've stood when others would have fallen. And now you carry that presence that says, I've earned this. I've paid for it in full, and I will not let anyone take it from me. So wear that power proudly, not as a weapon, but as a declaration that you are not here by accident, not here by luck. You are here because you fought for it, bled for it, sacrificed for it. And if anyone dares to test you, they will learn quickly. This power did not come cheap, and you will never give it away. Power is not gifted, it's not inherited, and it's not something you stumble upon by accident. Power is earned, and when you've earned it, you know exactly what it cost you. People may look at you now and see strength, confidence, and presence, but what they don't see is the price you paid to stand where you stand. They don't see the sacrifices you made, the nights you wrestled with doubt, the mornings you dragged yourself forward when your body screamed to quit, the relationships you lost because your vision demanded more of you than they could understand. That's the reality. Your power didn't come cheap. And that's why no one should ever think they can take it lightly or dare to mess with you. You've walked through fire, and you've done it without a safety net. While others waited for the right time, you moved through fear. While others settled for average, you pushed through pain. Every struggle, every loss, every setback was a payment toward the strength you carry today. You didn't buy this power with comfort. You bought it with sacrifice. That's why it's unshakable. That's why it intimidates people who've never had to fight the way you have. And here's the truth. When you've paid that kind of price, you don't let anyone disrespect it. You don't tolerate being underestimated. You don't waste time with people who don't value what you bring to the table. You've earned your power, and that means you protect it. That means you draw boundaries, you stand tall, you walk with certainty. Not arrogance, not ego, just the undeniable energy of someone who knows exactly what it took to get here. That's why people warn others about you. They sense it, they feel it, they know deep down this isn't someone you can play games with. This isn't someone who will fold under pressure. This isn't someone who can be broken with words, doubt, or manipulation, because the truth is you've already faced worse and survived it. You've already been tested and came out stronger. And when someone tries to challenge that, they're not facing a person. They're facing years of struggle, sacrifice, and resilience built into your very being. So remember this. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to justify yourself. And you don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Your presence says it all. Your journey says it all. You've earned your power, and because it didn't come cheap, it will never be taken from you. That's the warning. Don't and never mess with you. People will always talk. They'll whisper behind your back. They'll doubt your abilities. They'll plot against your progress. That's human nature. Some people fear what they don't understand, and others envy what they can't have. But here's the truth. Whispers don't define you. Doubts don't limit you, and plots can't destroy you. Because when you're driven, when you're focused, when you've tapped into that unstoppable fire within you, nothing and no one can hold you back. They can try, but they'll fail. They can push, but you'll rise higher. They can doubt, but your results will silence them louder than any words ever could. Think about it. Every great leader, every visionary, every fighter has faced doubters. People laughed at them, mocked them, and said they'd never make it. But what happened? Those whispers faded. Those doubts disappeared. Those plots crumbled. Why? Because you cannot stop what refuses to quit. You cannot stop a force of nature. You cannot stop someone who's willing to rise every single time they get knocked down. That's the power you carry when you decide you're unstoppable. Understand this. Whispers are just noise. Plots are just distractions. Doubts are just projections of other people's fears. None of it has power unless you give it power. And you've reached a point where you don't feed negativity anymore. You don't waste energy proving yourself to small minds. You keep moving forward, you keep growing, you keep showing up, and that's why they warn others not to mess with you. They know that no matter what they say, no matter what they do, you're going to keep climbing, you're going to keep winning, you're going to keep breaking through barriers that were meant to hold you back. And here's the best part. The louder they whisper, the stronger your fire burns. The more they doubt, the more fuel you gain. The more they plot, the faster you rise, because their energy doesn't weaken you. It empowers you. You've learned to take negativity and turn it into momentum. That's why you're untouchable. That's why you're unstoppable. So let them talk, let them doubt, let them plot. Because at the end of the day, they can't stop you, they can't break you, they can't silence you. You're already moving, already rising, already proving through action what words could never deny. And that's the warning. Don't and never mess with someone who is unstoppable. People will always talk. They'll whisper in the shadows, they'll plot behind closed doors, and they'll doubt you to your face. That's what people do when they see someone rising, when they see someone refusing to play small, when they see someone breaking through limits they themselves never dared to challenge. But here's the truth. They can whisper all they want, they can plot all they want, they can doubt you all they want, but they cannot stop what is unstoppable. They cannot stop a soul that has already made the decision to win, to rise, to break through no matter what. The whispers are just noise. The doubts are just echoes of their own insecurities. The plots are nothing more than fragile attempts to hold back something they know deep down they cannot contain. Because when you decide you're unstoppable, you stop playing their game. You stop bending under pressure. You stop living by the approval of others. You stop letting their opinions dictate your destiny. You start moving with a power that is bigger than fear, bigger than resistance, bigger than any obstacle they could ever put in your path. And that's why they warn others about you. They say, don't mess with them. Don't try to hold them down. Don't waste your time doubting them, because the more you push against them, the stronger they get. The more you doubt them, the harder they rise. The more you try to stop them, the faster they break through. You see, when you carry that kind of energy, you become untouchable. You don't need to answer back. You don't need to fight with words. You don't need to defend yourself. The results speak, the actions speak, your progress speaks louder than anything they could ever say. This is the essence of being unstoppable. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never falling. It's about refusing to stay down when you do. It's about taking every setback, every doubt, every whisper, and using it as fuel to push further, faster, harder. It's about knowing that no one on this planet can stop you but you, and you've already decided that quitting isn't an option. So let them whisper, let them doubt, let them plot. Because while they waste their breath, you're building your legacy. And when the dust settles, they'll realize the truth. They couldn't stop you then, they can't stop you now, and they will never be able to stop you. That's the warning. Don't and never mess with you. You are not here to beg for approval. You are not here to shrink yourself so others can feel comfortable. You are not here to live life by someone else's rules, waiting for permission to be who you were born to be. You are here to lead, to create, to inspire, to blaze a path so bold that people have no choice but to pay attention. And that's the kind of energy that makes others whisper warnings. Don't and never mess with them. Because when you know you're not here to please anyone, when you finally step into the truth of your own power, you become untouchable. Too many people spend their lives chasing validation. They shapeshift to fit into someone else's idea of success. They water themselves down to avoid judgment. But you've broken that chain. You've chosen a higher standard. You've decided that your life is not about making others feel okay. It's about making an impact. That's leadership. That's creation. That's the kind of purpose that cannot be stopped by critics, doubters, or haters. And when you live like that, you don't need to tell people who you are. They feel it. They sense it. They know instantly this is not someone you can manipulate, control, or hold back. And let's be real, when you rise like that, you will trigger people. Some will envy you. Some will try to challenge you. Some will even try to break you down. But the truth is they can't touch you. Why? Because you're not fueled by their approval. You're fueled by your vision. You're not moved by their opinions. You're moved by your purpose. You're not led by their expectations. You're led by your own inner fire. That's the difference between living small and living unstoppable. And when people realize that about you, when they see that nothing they say or do can sway you, they start warning others. They tell them, don't try to mess with this one. They don't bend, they don't fold, they don't chase, they build, they create, they lead. That's the energy of someone who has stepped into their greatness. That's the power of someone who knows exactly why they're here and refuses to compromise it. So don't apologize for being bold. Don't dim your light to make anyone else feel safe. You're not here to please. You're here to rise. You're here to show what's possible. You're here to embody the kind of power that can't be ignored. And the world knows it. That's why the warning echoes loud and clear. Don't and never mess with you. The harder they try to hold you down, the higher you rise. That's the truth of someone who refuses to quit, someone who refuses to break, someone who understands that pressure doesn't destroy diamonds. It creates them. Every time life has tried to pin you to the ground, every time people have tried to bury you under doubt, under fear, under rejection, you've used it as fuel to push yourself higher. And that's why people whisper warnings, don't and never mess with them. Because the more the world tries to suppress you, the more unstoppable you become. Think about it. How many times did they count you out? How many times did they hope you'd stay down? How many times did they believe you'd quit when things got too hard? And yet, here you are. You're still standing, stronger than before. You didn't just survive, you elevated, you didn't just endure, you evolved. Every attempt to hold you back only built more muscle, more fire, more resilience inside you. You turned resistance into power. You turned rejection into direction. You turned obstacles into stepping stones. That's the mark of a warrior, and that's why you cannot be contained. When people realize that, they stop underestimating you. They start warning others because they know the truth. Pressure doesn't crush you. It launches you. Chains don't trap you. They give you the strength to break free and run further. Every barrier you face is not an end, it's a beginning. And when others see that kind of relentless spirit, they know you're not the one to challenge. Because every attempt to drag you down only guarantees that you'll rise even higher, even stronger, even more powerful than before. And here's what makes you unstoppable. You don't just rise for yourself, you rise to show others what's possible. You rise to lead, to inspire, to prove that no amount of opposition can hold back a heart that refuses to surrender. That's why you walk differently. That's why you speak differently. That's why you carry yourself with unshakable certainty. Because you know the game. The world may push, but you'll push back harder. The world may try to hold you down, but you'll use that very pressure to rise into the person you were meant to become. So let them try, let them push, let them plot. Every move they make against you only becomes your launch pad. And when the dust clears, they'll realize the truth. They never held you down, they only helped you rise higher. And that's the warning. Don't and never mess with you. The more they try to hold you down, the higher you rise. That's not just a phrase. It's a law of life for those who refuse to quit. Every hand that tried to push you into the ground, every voice that tried to silence you, every obstacle that tried to trap you has only become the very reason you are stronger today. You see, they thought they could bury you, but what they didn't know is that you were a seed. And when you bury a seed, it doesn't die. It grows. That's your story. That's your power. And that's why people warn others. Don't and never mess with them. Every attempt to hold you down has only added fuel to your fire. The rejection didn't stop you, it redirected you. The betrayal didn't destroy you, it refined you. The setbacks didn't paralyze you, they prepared you. Life's weight pressed on you, but instead of breaking, you built muscle. Instead of giving in, you grew stronger. Instead of staying down, you rose higher. You've turned resistance into resilience. And now the very things meant to destroy you are the reasons you are unstoppable. People don't understand that kind of spirit. They can't comprehend someone who thrives under pressure, someone who rises every time they fall, someone who refuses to stay broken. That's why they whisper, that's why they warn, because deep down they know every attempt to hold you back only guarantees your next level. You are not someone who quits when it gets hard. You are someone who takes hard and makes it the very fuel for greatness. And here's the truth. You don't rise quietly. You rise in a way that inspires, in a way that forces others to pay attention, in a way that shakes the ground beneath the people who doubted you. Your comeback is always louder than their criticism. Your success always outshines their schemes. Your rise is undeniable, unshakable, unstoppable, and the more they push, the higher you go. So let them keep trying, let them push, let them plot, because they don't even realize they're not holding you down. They're setting up the momentum for your next breakthrough. They're not stopping you. They're elevating you. And when the dust clears, you'll be standing taller than ever before. That's the reality. That's the warning. Don't and never mess with you, because every attempt to break you only makes you rise beyond their reach. Your energy, your fire, your power, they demand respect. Not because you ask for it, not because you beg for it, but because it radiates from you the moment you walk into a room. People feel it. They sense the intensity, the certainty, the presence you carry. It's the kind of energy that can't be faked, can't be copied, and can't be denied. It comes from the battles you've fought, the storms you've survived, the sacrifices you've made, and the fire you've built inside yourself. That's why people warn others, don't and never mess with them. Because your very presence makes it clear you are not someone to be underestimated. Energy is power, and the energy you carry is the result of discipline, focus, resilience, and hunger. You've gone through too much to walk small. You've endured too much to dim your light. That fire inside of you was forged in struggle, and now it burns so bright that it commands attention. People may not always like you, but they cannot ignore you. They may not always agree with you, but they cannot dismiss you. Your fire demands to be seen. Your power demands to be respected. And understand this, true respect doesn't come from words. It comes from presence. You don't need to scream. You don't need to fight for it. You don't need to explain yourself. You live it. You embody it. And when you embody that level of certainty, people instinctively know this is not someone to challenge lightly. This is not someone you can manipulate, control, or push aside. This is someone who has stepped into their power and refuses to give it away. That's why your fire is dangerous to those who operate in shadows. Your energy exposes what's fake. Your power disrupts what's weak. Your presence forces truth to the surface. That's why some people feel intimidated around you, not because you've done anything to them, but because your strength shines a light on their excuses. And when that happens, their only option is to warn others, don't mess with them, respect them, they're different. So never dim your energy to make others feel safe. Never lower your fire to make others comfortable. The world doesn't need smaller versions of you. It needs your full, unapologetic power. Stand tall, speak bold, live fiercely. Because when your energy, your fire, and your power collide, there's only one response people can have: respect. And that's the warning. Don't and never mess with you. You're not the person you used to be. You're everything you've become. That sentence carries power because too many people think they still know you. They think you're the same as you were years ago, back when you doubted yourself, back when you played small, back when you let people cross lines that should have never been crossed. But they're wrong. You've grown, you've evolved, you've transformed. The old you is gone. The new you, the stronger, wiser, more resilient version, stands here today. And that's why people warn others, don't and never mess with them. Because the person you are now is not the person they remember. Every struggle, every failure, every heartbreak has shaped you. You've been tested and you came out sharper. You've been broken and you rebuilt yourself stronger. You've been underestimated and you proved them wrong again and again. The lessons you've lived through have carved strength into your bones. The pain you've endured has hardened your resolve. The growth you've chosen has expanded your vision. You are not who you were. You are the product of everything you've survived and everything you've built. And that makes you dangerous to anyone who thinks they can play games with you. People who knew the old you might expect you to react the same way, to fall the same way, to tolerate the same disrespect. But when they test you now, they're in for a shock because you no longer entertain what drains you. You no longer give energy to what doesn't serve you. You no longer bow to fear, to doubt, or to the opinions of others. You've outgrown that version of yourself, and you refuse to go back. That's why you carry yourself with a different energy. That's why people can feel the shift. You are not just older, you are wiser, stronger, bolder, untouchable. And that evolution demands respect. It forces people to see you differently. They may not admit it, but they feel it. They sense the boundaries, the power, the certainty in you now. They know that what once worked against you won't work anymore. They know the doors that were once open for manipulation are now shut tight. And so they warn others, don't underestimate them. Don't push them. Don't and never mess with them. You're not the person you used to be. You're everything you've become. Let that sink in. Too many people still try to put you in the box of your past, labeling you by the mistakes you made, the struggles you faced, the moments you weren't at your strongest. They think they know you because they remember a chapter of your story, but what they don't understand is that you've grown, you've evolved, you've transformed into someone far greater than anything they imagined. The old you was a stepping stone. The new you is unshakable. That's why people warn others. Don't and never mess with them. The person you used to be might have tolerated disrespect, but not anymore. The person you used to be might have let fear make decisions, but not anymore. The person you used to be might have been quiet, might have been hesitant, might have been unsure, but that person no longer exists. What stands here today is the result of battles fought, lessons learned, and victories earned through fire. You're not a victim of your past. You're the architect of your present and the designer of your future. Every scar, every setback, every sleepless night built you. People think strength comes easy, but yours came from walking through the storms others would have quit in. You didn't just survive, you transformed. You took pain and turned it into fuel. You took doubt and turned it into belief. You took weakness and turned it into unstoppable power. That is why your presence is different now. That is why people feel your energy before you even speak. And when others approach you with the old mindset, expecting the old reactions, they're met with a reality check. You're not here to prove yourself to anyone. You're here to embody the power you've earned. You no longer explain. You no longer chase. You no longer lower your standards. You live with clarity, certainty, and authority. And that shift makes others cautious because they realize quickly messing with you is not an option. So let them whisper. Let them remember the old version of you. It doesn't matter. Because the truth is you've outgrown it. You've stepped into the fullness of who you are meant to be. And when you embrace that, when you own that, people have no choice but to respect it or get out of the way. You are not the person you used to be. You are everything you've become. And that version of you is unstoppable. Messing with you isn't an option. You are a force of nature. And when I say a force of nature, I don't mean just powerful. I mean unstoppable. Think about a storm, a hurricane, an earthquake. When nature moves, nothing can stand in its way. That's you. You've reached a point where your energy, your drive, your determination can't be contained, can't be controlled, can't be manipulated. People look at you and they sense it immediately. They can feel the power in your presence. And that's why the warning is clear. Don't and never mess with you. Because you've worked too hard to get here. You've bled, you've sacrificed, you've endured nights of doubt and days of pain that would have broken most people. But instead of breaking you, it built you. Instead of crushing you, it carved you into someone unstoppable. That's what people don't understand. You didn't become strong by chance. You became strong by choice, by persistence, by refusing to quit. And when a person chooses growth over comfort, strength over excuses, discipline over distraction, they become a force to be reckoned with. That's you right now. People who once doubted you now stay quiet. People who once laughed now watch in silence. And people who once thought they could control you know better. Because when you stand fully in your power, you command respect without even asking for it. Your presence speaks louder than words. Your energy carries weight, and that energy warns others before you even have to. The truth is, storms don't ask for permission. They arrive, they transform the landscape, and they leave everything changed. That's you in every room you walk into, in every goal you pursue, in every obstacle you face. You're not here to be liked, you're here to lead. You're not here to please, you're here to dominate your purpose. And when people realize that, they back off because they know messing with you is not only dangerous, it's pointless. So carry yourself like the force of nature you are. Don't shrink, don't dim, don't apologize. You've earned the right to stand tall, to stand proud, to stand unshakable. Let the world feel your presence, let them sense your power, and let the warning be clear. You are not to be played with. You are a storm, a fire, an unstoppable force. And when nature moves, nothing, absolutely nothing, can stand in its way. Messing with you isn't an option. You are a force of nature. And here's the truth. Forces of nature don't ask for permission. They don't negotiate. They don't compromise. When the wind decides to blow, when the river decides to flow, when the earth decides to shake, nothing and no one can stop it. That's the energy you now carry within you. People sense it. They feel it in their gut before you even speak. That's why the warning is unspoken but clear. Don't and never mess with you. Because your strength is not just in what you've done, but in what you've survived. You didn't wake up one day with this fire. You built it through sleepless nights, through battles that no one else saw, through moments when giving up seemed easier, but you chose to fight instead. Every scar has become your armor. Every setback has become your fuel. Every no has been turned into a louder yes within your spirit. That's why your presence is different now. You don't just walk into a room, you shift the energy of it. And here's the key. People can resist a person, but they can't resist a force of nature. A storm doesn't stop because someone doesn't like it. A volcano doesn't hold back its fire because the world isn't ready. Nature doesn't apologize, and neither do you. You've outgrown the need to explain yourself, to prove yourself, to beg for respect. Now you command it, not through fear, but through undeniable certainty in who you are and what you stand for. That's why people think twice before crossing you. It's not because you shout louder, it's because you don't need to. You've built a foundation so solid that nothing shakes you. People can gossip, people can doubt, people can try to pull you down. But when you are a force of nature, all they're doing is throwing pebbles at a hurricane. They can't touch you. So stand tall in that power. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't dim your light so others can shine. You are not meant to fit in. You are meant to dominate your space, to leave your mark, to alter everything around you like the storm you are. Let your passion roar like thunder. Let your actions blaze like lightning. Let your vision sweep through every obstacle like a tidal wave. The message is clear, undeniable, and permanent. Messing with you is not just unwise, it's impossible. You are not a person to be tested. You are a force to be respected. You are the storm, the fire, the unshakable power that cannot be stopped.